Welcome back to another video. In today's video we have NXT Vengeance Day results. A fairly good show, definitely. I'd say it lived over my expectations. I didn't have too high of them. I think there's a few matches that could have gone either way, whether it be a good or a bad match, but overall pretty solid.
Yeah, I would say kind of a little bit the opposite. I had pretty high expectations and it didn't quite meet it, but not to say it was a bad card whatsoever though.
Yeah, but we started off the night with Stephanie Vaquer winning the Women's North American Championship versus Fallon Henley, and a pretty good match. Stephanie got a lot of big chants throughout the match, and it was really nice to see her kind of get over in a way here tonight.
Yeah, this was one of the matches that I was very high on. Didn't meet what I necessarily wanted, I would guess. Or not, I guess. I know it didn't. But yeah, not exactly what I wanted as far as in-ring quality. However, the match was fine. It was good. It was a good show opener, and it was a fun one. We've seen a lot of involvement from JC Jane and Jasmine Nix, and it just kind of showed just how Stephanie could kind of overcome all that, still get the victory, still look good. And shout out to Fallon because she had a pretty good title run. Definitely put her up the card on in my mind. And yeah, she's great. So hopefully we'll see more of her, even though she doesn't have the title.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see her kind of maybe move up now. Maybe her and somebody else go for the tag team titles, or I could see her maybe try to go for the World Championship now that the Women's North American Championship is gone from her.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall pretty good match. Good way to start off the night. But we continue the momentum with the high flying action with Nathan Frazier and Axiom retaining against Josh Briggs and Inamura in a pretty good match.
Yeah, this is probably my match of the night. This was an amazing match. I did miss the first few minutes of this match. However, I did see it was 10 minutes long. I probably seen about 7 minutes of it, and that was all I needed to see. I don't feel like I even need to see that 3 minutes I missed because it was just high flying, fast paced. Just your normal Nathan Frazier and Axiom match. Honestly, I like how Josh Briggs and Inamura kind of stepped up to their pace instead of Frazier and Axiom stepping down to theirs. I feel like that was a good the match just had a very good pace to it. All the moves felt like they were just hit hard. Inamura and Nathan Frazier does a Spanish fly. Looked really good on Inamura's part as well. Yeah, this was a very fun match. I wish they had a little bit more time. But yeah, this was a very, very fun match.
And then after the match, both teams are in the ring and they kind of shake hands, give respect to one another after a heartfelt match. But then we see the debut of the new faction. We don't know the name necessarily just yet, but we have Saquon Sugars, we have Dion Lennox, I think his name is, Osiris, I forget what his last name is, and then we have another guy, Cutler James, I think is the last guy. But yeah, they make their mark here first. We're the tag team champions, so maybe we have a new potential tag team forming in the division. It's kind of needed right now. I think there's a few tag teams that are definitely good, but with them, the momentum they could get from this could be pretty big for them.
Yeah, it does seem like NXT is kind of looking for that next tag team to put the belts on because Nathan Frazier and Axiom are surely going to be on their way out very soon. But yes, they're definitely looking like they're looking for that new tag team to kind of belt up and kind of lead the tag team division in the next era.
Yeah. And then after that, we had Eddie Thorpe defeat Trick Williams in the strap match, and a pretty solid match. Nothing too much to talk about in this one. Not the best match of the night, but not the worst match either, probably.
Yeah, it was a good match. Nothing they did was bad. Both of them looked great. However, it's just one that I just wasn't into. I can't really explain it, but I feel like if you watch wrestling a lot, you probably know what I'm saying. But it was a good match. It was fine, but I just wasn't fully into it or behind it. However, I'm sure if you're a big fan of Eddie Thorpe or Trick, you probably were really behind it. You liked it a lot because there was a lot to be behind. For strap matches, some people don't necessarily like them a lot of the times. I am a fan of them. And this one did play out pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah, Eddie Thorpe does getting the win here. It does kind of surprise me a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe this is his way to go back after Obafemi now for that potential World Championship match. But yeah, Trick Williams could be on his way out of NXT. Maybe this was his last NXT match. I don't think so. Maybe we'll see him at Stand and Deliver. But yeah, hopefully this is kind of the end of this little feud, and both men kind of move on to bigger things now. But after that, we had another big rivalry, Ethan Page defeating Javon Evans in a pretty good match. At first, it kind of started a little slow, but after the action started getting into it, things really picked up and finished pretty strong.
Yeah, we've seen Javon Evans right off the start of the match. The venue was a little bit different, was a little bit shorter, and he just goes flying between the ropes at Ethan Page, and he kind of overshoots it a little bit and flies over him and over the desk. And yeah, it looked pretty nasty little fall from him. Kind of your usual Javon Evans, high-flying, fast-paced. Ethan Page looked really great in this match. Javon Evans kind of looked like he was showing a more brutal side of him. He was kind of hitting a little harder, doing a little bit more riskier moves. But yeah, Javon Evans just looks amazing. At one point, he goes to stomp Ethan Page's face onto the steps. Ethan Page as well grabs him, puts his leg in between the corner and the steps and drop kicks the steps into his leg, which kind of sets the tone for the rest of the match because Javon is kind of selling that for the rest of the match.
Yeah, and then the finish, you have Javon going for that springboard move, and then as he's falling back, Ethan Page rocks him on the jaw, and pretty much that's what helps him wins. After the match, Javon's on the floor, mouth bleeding again. So I don't know where you go from this for Javon. Maybe he sits out for a few weeks and you don't see him for a little while until he's like medically cleared once again. But yeah, I mean, if what the doctor said was true, then that, you know, any vital trauma to the jaw could be the end of his in-ring career, which I don't really necessarily know how a jaw injury could necessarily finish your career, I guess, with the talking. But yeah, definitely interesting match, not too bad, pretty solid.
Yeah, it definitely seems like this feud has gone like maybe a little too far in terms of you need to split them up after the feud because it doesn't make sense for them to be in the same building anymore, you know, with the blood feud that they have, kind of like the Punk Drew McIntyre thing after Ethan Page not only defeated you multiple times now, but injured you multiple times now. So it might be one of those things where Ethan Page gets called up and that's when kind of Javon comes back. But yeah, a great match. Probably my second, maybe third favorite match of the night.
Well, next up, we have the NXT World Championship on the line where Obafemi does retain over A-Town Down Under. And a pretty surprising match that I definitely didn't have the highest expectations on, but definitely delivered.
Yeah, I think it fit the exact role that it needed. It needed that little bit of comedy relief from Grayson Waller in theory, which we got a little bit of that. There was also just a ton of teases of the split, but nothing official that kind of set in stone, like, all right, they're done now. Yeah. But a ton of teases in here.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm being completely honest, don't like that we're still teasing this. I feel like we've been asking for this split for months on months now, and we still haven't even gotten close to it, it feels. It still feels like you kind of mentioned, that we're going to still see this for a few more weeks before we actually do get the split. But hopefully it is somewhat soon, because I think Austin Theory tonight kind of shown that he does have the crowd behind him, and that Waller can or will be the heel after they split. But yeah, hopefully Austin Theory can get that split from him, and hopefully as a babyface kind of reach new heights that he didn't reach as a heel, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. And then once again, after this match, we see the same group come out. They do the big attack on Oba. Oba powers it out of it for a second, but they do all bounce back and get him back down and kind of chop him down the sides. And they stand tall twice during this pay-per-view. So a lot of kind of focus on them. We also, I believe it was before this, but we did get a Ricky Starks promo saying that he will be doing a contract signing this Tuesday on NXT. So tune into that if you're interested in seeing what's next for Ricky. But going into our main event,
we had Julia defeat all of Roxanne Perez, Bayley, and Cora Jade in a pretty interesting fatal four-way. It kind of started a little slow, and but towards the middle and the end, they picked it up very much, and ended up turning out to be a great match.
Yeah, I was definitely a little bit let down by the beginning. It was kind of slow. They didn't seem like they were kind of in sync with each other in a way. A little different spots from Bayley and Julia in the beginning. But, you know, it picked up probably 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes into the match, and then from there on, it was great. Roxanne always looks amazing. Bayley always looks great. And Julia, I wish she would kind of, I think I told you during the pay-per-view, I wish she would kind of stop with the kicks if she's not going to fully, like, kind of commit to it, I guess, because there's a lot of pullbacks on her kick. But with that being said, always looks good because she's Julia. Makes everything look great. And then there's Cora Jade. Even she had a good time during this match. I feel like this was probably her best match that I've seen, at least. And yeah, they all looked amazing. It was a fun match. A lot of teases with Cora and Roxanne. Not even teases; they were full on going at each other multiple times, as well as Bailey, Roxanne, and Bailey Joy. It was everything that you kind of wanted out of this match. But yeah, I definitely had fun with this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what they do with Roxanne Perez if this was her last match in NXT, and now she can go feud with Bailey, or if she wants to stick around for a little while longer, finishes this feud with Cora Jade, and kind of sets things to it in kind of how we got with Trick and Carmelo last year. So maybe we see that from Roxanne, but either way, if this is her last match, NXT definitely went out on a bang, and it's definitely going to go down in the history books as one of the best NXT women's performers we've seen of all time. So definitely want to give the congratulations to Roxanne Perez on, if this is, like I said, her last match at NXT. But yeah, really like this match and growing in the night.
Yeah, definitely happy for everything Roxanne Perez just has done. She just looks great, and she always does. And I think this probably is going to be her last match. And, you know, there's a lot of potential for her on the main roster. She's going to potentially be in Elimination Chamber. There's potential for her to face Lyra at some point, which would be a cool kind of callback to NXT on the main roster. But there's a lot of cool things you could do with her, and I'm excited to see the future of not only Roxanne Perez on the main roster, but Joya taking over NXT and officially now having the reins as the champion, and now you are the face of NXT in the women's division.
But with all that being said, what was your favorite match of the night?
My favorite match was probably the tag team match. I expected it to be good, but didn't expect it to be that good. It was just an underrated match, probably a show stealer. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I agree. Nathan Frazier and Axiom pretty much feel like they do this almost every single pay-per-view now, where they're always early on the card, but they set the expectations so high for the rest of the night that it almost feels like a letdown after a match because it can't necessarily get much better than that.
No.
But yeah, once Nathan Frazier and Axiom get on that main roster, hopefully things in tag division definitely get sorted out, and we just see more tag team wrestling because these guys are the future of tag team wrestling. Forever long they want to keep up this tag team. But yeah, that will wrap it up for us with NXT Women's Day results. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.